Hello, or cheerio all, and welcome to today's episode of Zachipedia. I'm Professor Zach, and you might notice something a little bit different about today's episode. One, today is the first episode in our second subject spotlight, the formation of modern-day countries. And two, you might realise that I'm in an English accent. Well, I am, because today's episode is the formation of the United Kingdom. Now, most of you probably know from your textbooks and from history lessons of the basic formation and like the British Empire, the height, the monarchy, Queen Elizabeth's in there somewhere, and more facts. But do you really know about the ancient beginnings from about 2,000 years ago and its first foundation? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to tell you all about that and why, when, who, and how it was founded and created. Well, earliest records of the United Kingdom began about, we have to go as far back as 1000 BCE, all the way to ancient Britannia. On Britannia, the first human evolutionary primates officially civilized in Western Europe, and they were called the Celts, and was a farming civilization. And the Celts were mostly known for inhabiting parts of the United Kingdom right here, pretty much all of it. But they also inhabited parts of France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and even parts of Denmark. And some historians believe that they could have used the Copenhagen Trail to immigrate to southern Scandinavia. Now, the Celts, though, since they were a farming civilization, depending on the different terrains of the United Kingdom and Western Europe, many people didn't really want to just do farming, or they couldn't. They wanted to do different things that suited their terrain, like basically warfare, or cobbling, or blacksmithing, or more. So in 500 BCE, the Celts broke up from their principles, and different primitive tribes of the Celts split up. Now, the traditional Celts that we know and love were still the biggest and most popular, and lived in southern Britain and those other Western European countries that I mentioned earlier. But some other tribes founded from the Celts, like in northern Scotland and Ireland. They founded the Druids, who basically founded their principles more under warfare. Though the Druids were basically more industrialized and evolved and civilized than other civilizations around the world, they were mostly known to other nearby English tribes as barbaric or uncivilized, for even though they were Caucasian and basically modern races, they still did things like put face paint on themselves, they got spares, howled like primitive tribes, basically acted like native peoples of the Americas and the Asias back in the day. Now, these people, in Ireland, I know this might seem a bit frank or a bit annoying, but on March 17th, or St. Patrick's Day, they basically used this from the civilization. For that civilization worshipping the barley stone, the four-leaf clover, and they also did things like dress in green and drink beer-like products. For the civilization that lived there were known as the leprechauns. Now, they survived like this for years, and even though they did have quarrelings, they never really conquered one another. Now, the leprechauns were also known as more cobbling and blacksmithing. But if you're wondering how come they weren't warfare if they literally made weapons, well, most historians believe that they originally just blacksmithed basic needs, such as pans, pots, spatulas, and more. But they say that the leprechauns ended up making a pact with the druids for making weaponry and different bronze and silver items for them in exchange for them not destroying them. Now, basically, this kind of circulated all through the United Kingdom for about another 500 years, until in 44 BCE, the Romans came in and invaded Gaul, my apologies. But why would that matter if they invaded Gaul? Well, believe it or not, Britannia had been a part of Gaul for nearly 500 years, didn't really taint with their civilizational ways. But the Romans were pretty much the exact opposite. The Romans didn't like them celebrating their own holidays and culture, wanted them to convert to theirs. So they basically forced them to convert, mix their holidays with them, and basically decimated their entire civilization by around 0 CE. Now, because of this though, some remnants of former Celts still existed, and they mated, ended up becoming acquainted with Romans in the area, founding the modern day race of English or British. Now, even though Britannia became separate from the from the Romans in about 480 BC due to its fall, unfortunately Gaul came in and took it right back. Now though, it became part of Gaul for about another 400 years, until in 900 BCE, that was basically when Gaul, during the late end of the Manetese Dark Ages, basically fell and split up into multiple countries. Now, in Great Britain, they basically ended up splitting up into their own monarchies: England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern and Southern Ireland, and some other independent island states that became part of these monarchies. Now, this is sort of the part that you sort of recognize. Places like England and some other monarchies became very powerful for the next 100 years and began conquering, reconquering, and having quarrels with basically the area of Great Britain, Europe, and even some other parts of the world. Now, this kind of, though, you could say the real rise of Britain and the British Empire began in about 1701, when the first industrial revolution began, and the first country to industrialize was England. And even though England was the first to industrialize, not only did they get things like advanced everyday needs, items, kitchen frames, things like that, but they also got things like advanced weaponry and the world's most powerful navy. And now with this powerful navy, they ended up spreading to other parts of the world, conquering islands, different weak parts of even Africa and Asia, and other parts. But before they did that, other nearby parts of Britain, my apologies, were scared and feared invasion from this powerful England. So, and before they could be invaded, they made pacts with England and became known as a region called the United Kingdom, which was basically a group of countries of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. However, Ireland was still persistent. They believed in their own culture and wanted to be independent, and they didn't really fear the English that much. The English gave them money and basically offered them great deeds for them to join in, for they really needed the resources and lands of Ireland to thrive. However, Ireland would not give in. So, in 1723, Britain needed a powerful army and invaded Ireland and forced it to be part of the United Kingdom. Now, after this, they ended up spreading to parts of Europe. Even they had actually spread to all parts of the world, which made it known as the British Empire. Now, the British Empire was also quoted as the sun never sets on the British Empire, for since it was so vast, it had land in every continent. That's what I'm pointing. And due to this, they basically said that somewhere around the world, in a claimant of Britain, the sun was rising, even though back in London it was down. So now, this kind of lasted for another 200 years, believe it or not, before England became powerful. And though it ended up shrinking and growing throughout the years through multiple rises and falls of the British Empire, you could say that it officially started to come to a demise toward the mid-1900s, as other countries began to industrialize and empires kind of became too old. And Britain, the monarchy, basically ended as entire rule, and it became more of a democratic monarchy like it is today, where there was ruled by prime ministers and a parliament. Now, because of this, they kind of started getting friends, and eventually they ended up shrinking pretty much all their land. They say the official end of the British Empire was in about 1997, when Great Britain gave their city-state empire of Hong Kong to the Chinese. Now, Ireland and some other places became independent also from the United Kingdom. For as a fact, Ireland actually isn't part of the United Kingdom. But the countries of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland still remained part of the United Kingdom. Now, I hope this video taught you the basics and basically the entire history and some other details about the British Empire and the formation of the United Kingdom. And I hope that you can use it well and impress your next history teacher with it. So, I'm going to have to say ta-ta for now.